breaking news for you.
Good morning, Notre Dame.
You're going to want a rain jacket.
Notre Dame men's basketball
coming out of the East region.
And can you get me a gym time?
Not only that, it was a shutout, of course.
For NDTV, I'm Abby Urban.
Good morning, Notre Dame. Welcome to ND Sunrise. I'm Abby Urban, and this is what you need to know on your Thursday morning. Taking a look at our COVID dashboard, yesterday 24 new cases were reported, adding to the semester total of 1,063. 903 of those cases are attributed to undergraduate students, meaning that now officially more than 10% of undergrads have tested positive for COVID this semester. Currently, the 7-day moving average is 18.6 cases per day. Also, we have just surpassed 100,000 tests for this semester, already more than the 95,302 total tests that were conducted throughout all of last semester. Again, these numbers remind us to adhere to campus protocols in order to keep ourselves and the rest of the community safe. Please wash your hands, wear your mask, and remain socially distant when possible. Now moving on to a bit of a different segment, the Notre Dame campus has been buzzing with the news of the closing of Zahm House, one of the 32 residence halls here on campus. The Division of Student Affairs sent an email to Zahm residents on Monday night notifying the students that their dorm would be converted into a swing hall for dorms undergoing year-long renovations. Residents of Soren Hall will populate Zahm in the 2021-2022 school year as their dorm undergoes major renovations. The email states the reason for the difficult decisions as, based on several years of unsuccessful intervention to alter a troubling culture. These concerns include significant vandalism over many years within and beyond the building, including the university's sculpture park this year, demonstrated disrespect for university officials, unusually high turnover of rectors and other hall staff, and deliberate disregard for university COVID-19 testing protocols this fall. The email continued by stating, "We no longer believe Zahm is equipped to welcome new students in a manner that reflects the best integration into the Notre Dame community that we can offer and is owed to every student." Current Zahm residents are able to either transfer to another men's hall or move off campus. Students who choose to transfer to another hall may select up to 2 preferred halls and up to 3 additional Zahm residents to join them in their transfer. It is important to note, however, that some aspects of this change are not unprecedented. A 1994 article in The Observer discussed the disbandment of Grace Hall, which was converted into an administrative office building after the 1995-1996 school year. Residents from this hall were moved as a community into O'Neill and Keogh halls. Also, 2016 saw Pangbourne Hall converted into a swing hall, which parallels the plans for Zahm. Pangbourne residents were given the option to move to Flaherty Hall in its inaugural year as a dorm. One key difference between these changes and the disbandment of Zahm House is that Zahm residents will not be given the option to move to 1 or 2 new dorms as a community. Instead, they will be able to disperse across existing dorms or move off campus. Many Zahm residents were concerned with this decision and joined together to express their thoughts on the matter. According to The Observer, about 20 to 30 Zahm residents walked together toward the main building on Monday evening and proceeded to chant, "We are Zahm House," among other forms of protest. And their efforts don't stop with the protests. The Observer also reported that Zahm residents are creating a petition and reaching out to alumni to hopefully cause the administration to reconsider. But for anyone hoping to reverse the decision, the university has made its position clear. The email from the Division of Student Affairs, the only official university announcement to date, said in no uncertain terms, the decision is final and will not be revisited. With these changes occurring on campus, it's good to know that we still have some consistency. As always, I'll be sharing with you some of the upcoming events for the week. Let's take a look. Rec Sports has opened up several new opportunities for students, including intramural pickleball, a March Madness bracket challenge, and a free squash workshop, the game, not the vegetable. I, for one, was not sure. This Saturday, March 20th. Also, Rec Sports will be resuming in-person fitness classes, which will be free for the rest of the semester. Visit recsports.nd.edu for more information. And speaking of sports, stay tuned for Kieran's continued coverage of March Madness later in the episode. He might just help you out with your rec sports bracket. And as a reminder, last week we mentioned 2 opportunities that will only be accepting submissions until Friday, March 19th. First, remember to submit your nominations for the Student Union Awards. The awards include the Michael J. Palumbo Award for a student with outstanding service and dedication to the Notre Dame Student Union, the Irish Clover Award for 2 students, faculty, staff, administrators, or alumni who exhibit exemplary service to the student body, and the Frank O'Malley Undergraduate Teaching Award for 1 professor who has demonstrated outstanding service to the Notre Dame student body. Check for an email from the Judicial Council to submit your choices. And juniors, applications are open for the 2021-2022 Senior Fellows Program, through which on-campus seniors can fulfill leadership roles for specific university departments. Students admitted into the program as fellows will receive an annual $3,000 stipend for 8 to 10 hours of work each week. This is an opportunity to find mentorship along with developing expertise in different university programs. Visit studentaffairs.nd.edu for more information. Again, the deadline for both the Student Union Award nominations and the Senior Fellows Program applications is Friday, March 19th. And for anyone looking to fill their weekend with some Oscar-winning entertainment, the MSPS and GRC will be hosting a free showing of the 2016 film Moonlight, which follows a young black man growing up in Miami and learning the power of community. It really is a great film, and I would highly recommend it. The movie will be shown at 9 p.m. on Friday, March 19th in the Carey Auditorium in the library. Now, for a change of pace, let's switch over to sports. Elise is here to tell us a little bit more about what's happening with softball and baseball teams and to give us a preview for the coming week. Elise?
Good morning, Notre Dame. My name is Elise Dohoney. Here's a quick check-in on Irish sports. The Notre Dame softball team has been busy down in Chapel Hill this past weekend. The Irish played 4 games against UNC, sandwiching 2 convincing victories of 13-0 and 4-0 between 2 unfortunate losses of 0-6 and 1-2. Of course, I have to highlight the stars of the series. So right behind me, you'll see Abby Sweet, Alexis Holloway, and Katie Marino. Senior Abby Sweet led the Irish in their 2 victories, going 7-8 at the plate in the first victory. And in the first victory, she batted a near cycle, going 5 for 5 with 4 RBIs, 2 home runs, and 2 doubles, as well as a stolen base. ACCNX's Chris Hooks, who called the game, said, "If Sweet does not win ACC Player of the Week, something is not right." Pretty sweet. Pitcher Alexis Holloway showed off a bit in the second Irish victory, pitching the entire game. And not only that, it was a shutout, of course. And I have a special highlight for Katie Marino on the next slide. Here, we see Marino catch a hard-hit ball to get an out in Game 4 against UNC. Marino, a graduate student, also recorded a home run in Game 2 against UNC. Unstoppable. Speaking of home runs, here's freshman Karina Gaskins' home run from Game 3 against UNC, which helped the Irish victory. Gaskins was running the bases all weekend, especially after earning a similar-looking homer in Game 4. She must be dizzy after going around that diamond so many times. Now on to baseball. These 3 Irish ball players and their 25th ranked team have been dominating in Virginia, delivering a sweep of Virginia Tech this weekend. The Irish won 10-5 on March 12th, 12-4 on March 13th, and 8-3 on March 14th. Head coach Link Jarrett was excited at the conclusion of the series, saying, "So proud of our team this weekend. I thought all phases of our game were well played." He's right. So let's put some names to these faces behind me. Over here, we have pitcher John Michael Bertrand, who, in the second game of the series, stayed on the mound for 7 innings and allowed only 3 runs. In the middle is Jack Brannigan, who in Game 2 set a career high with 4 hits. And here we have junior Brooks Coatsy, who hit this 2-run home run this weekend. We can roll the clip now, guys. All right, those were the 2 sports I wanted to highlight this morning, but don't worry, there's plenty to look forward to in the next few days. This Friday, March 19th, is jam-packed with Irish sports. Definitely make sure to check out the women's lacrosse game at 5 o'clock against Liberty University to keep up with the stars I highlighted in last week's report. And Irish softball has a doubleheader against Georgia Tech on Saturday. Hopefully they can bounce back after a disappointing final game against UNC this past weekend and dominate the Diamond again. And on Sunday, volleyball will be taking on UNC. Should be a great game. And that's all for me this week. I'm Elise Dohoney with ND Sunrise. Now back to you, Abby.
Thank you, Elise. I appreciate the player name puns. Very nice. And I have been raised as a softball and baseball fan, so I am always happy to learn more about our teams. This past week, we've been seeing a whole lot of variation in our weather, from sunny skies to surprise snowfalls. Anthony is here to tell us about the upcoming forecast, and I think we're all hoping for more signs of spring. Anthony?
Thank you, Abby, and good morning, Notre Dame. Welcome back to another ND Sunrise weather report. Let's start the day with the most important news you need to know, which is, what do I wear this morning? Basically, you need a rain jacket and something warm, and later in the day, you're going to want a rain jacket and something warmer than you wore in the morning. And why is that? Well, let's take a look at the weather today. In the morning, we'll start with 40s, light rain. Moving into the middle of the day, the rain's just going to get heavier, and it's actually going to get a little colder. We're going to drop from about 42 in the morning to about 40 midday. And come the night, the rain might end, but they're going to hit us with all the wind in the world. So you're going to want to wear something warm in the morning and maybe something warmer going later into the day. And looking forward to the rest of the week, here's our 7-day forecast. This one's not changing. It'll only change on your phone when you check in the morning. So looking at this next weekend, it's going to be pretty nice. The sun's coming Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It'll be nice and bright out. And then right about in time for midterms, that's when the clouds come back and we start to get a little rain later in the week. So look forward to this weekend. Go do something fun. And then when it's time to cram for your midterms, then it'll just look terrible outside and put you down the whole time. So that's what you can look forward to this week in ND weather. Thanks for joining me, and back to you, Abby.
Thank you, Anthony. I'm going to choose to focus less on the rain and more on those warmer temperatures. Today we have a sports-filled morning for all of you watching. If our last episode left you curious about the men's basketball team, no worries, because Madison will be telling us more about their performance in the ACC tournament. Madison?
Notre Dame men's basketball began the run in the ACC tournament on a high. After beating nationally ranked number 11 Florida State in South Bend 83-73, it was time to face Wake Forest in Greensboro on Tuesday, March 9th for the first round of the tournament. While number 11 Notre Dame was favored over number 14 Wake Forest by 8 points, the game came down to a buzzer-beater three-pointer by Trey Wirtz. Notre Dame won 80-77, avoiding overtime and moving on to the next round. The Fighting Irish outshot the Demon Deacons on all fronts. Leading scorers for the Irish were Juwan Durham and Cormac Ryan with 18 and 13 points respectively. They headed to Chapel Hill the next day to play the number 6 Tar Heels. The game in Chapel Hill on Tuesday night resulted in very different emotions for the Irish fans. Notre Dame lost 101-59 to North Carolina, despite the Tar Heels only being favored by 6.5 points and senior forward Garrison Brooks out with an ankle injury he suffered last Saturday against Duke. Lazuski and Hub both had 13-point games to lead the effort from Notre Dame, but the top 3 scorers alone on North Carolina had a combined 49 points, 10 away from the Irish's final score. Coach Mike Bray spoke about the devastating loss, saying, "My worst fears came true. They just overwhelmed us." At the end of his interview, he shared his positive outlook for next year's season with 6 strong players returning. Although this season has come to an end, I look forward to seeing if Bray's beliefs hold true.
Thank you, Madison. I'm glad that even after that devastating loss, the team is looking forward to a brighter future next season, and best of luck to them when that comes. Although Notre Dame's basketball season is now over, March Madness is about to begin. As I said earlier, Kieran is continuing his segment from Tuesday and letting us know some more about his predictions. Kieran?
Hello and welcome back to Kieran's March Madness bracket reveal. Let's just get right into it. We're going to move on to the South region this time. So number 1 seed we have here is Baylor. They should roll right past Hartford. Congratulations to Hartford though for making their first ever NCAA tournament. And here, the very interesting matchup, 8 versus 9. UNC versus Wisconsin. I think Wisconsin is one of the most underrated teams in the country. They really control the pace. They have a lot of veterans, a lot of guys who have been here before, so they have a lot of experience. So I do like Wisconsin to win that game. Villanova and Winthrop, that is a tough one. Villanova losing their best player, most important player, Colin Gillespie. He scores about 14 a game with 5 assists. He really was the leader of this team and really the heart and soul of the Wildcats. However, I think Villanova, they always perform in March, so I'm going to stick with them. But that is a very tough loss. I do really like Purdue here against North Texas. North Texas had a great showing out in their conference tournament, but Purdue, led by Travion Williams and Zach Edey down low, I think they're just too big and too much firepower for North Texas to handle. So I like Texas Tech is a tough one to go against. Mac McClung is very explosive. He's very hot and cold type of player, but Utah State has one of the best defensive keys in the entire nation in Neemias Queta. He will block over 2 shots a game, control the paint, so Texas Tech needs to hit their shots to win, and I don't think that happens. I think Utah State will be able to get the first round win. I like Arkansas to roll past Colgate behind Moses Moody. Very good player in the SEC. He should be an early pick in the NBA draft. I like Florida, Virginia Tech, could really go either way. I think Virginia Tech kind of got underseeded, but Florida is also a good team. So I'm going to go with Florida here, just because they're out of the SEC, and then Ohio State should roll right past Oral Roberts, although Oral Roberts does have the leading scorer in the nation, Max Abrams, so I will look at that. It should be a very fun game to watch, but Ohio State is a very good team. They should advance easily. So here we have Baylor beating Wisconsin. This was a tough one, very tough one. I'm very high on Baylor coming into this tournament. However, Wisconsin is also a very good team. I have to go with Baylor. I just think they have more athletes. They play very similar ways. They control the game. They don't turn it over, both the Bears and the Badgers, but I'm going to go with the Baylor Bears to take care of business there. Now, Villanova, Purdue, as I was saying, Villanova, I think they will be able to overcome Gillespie's torn MCL in the first round. I don't think they'll be able to get past Purdue. I think Travion Williams will control the paint there, and Purdue will advance. And then I'm actually going to go with Utah State to make it to the Sweet 16 to get past Arkansas. Arkansas, they can go hot and cold sometimes, and if they don't rebound, it's going to be a nightmare for them. Now, Neemias Queta is going to control the paint, so Arkansas is going to have to hit their shots, which they don't always do, and so I'm going to go with Utah State. Now, down here, I think this was a relatively easy pick for me. I like Ohio State a lot. Dwayne Washington can score any way he wants. E.J. Liddell is an absolute mismatch nightmare in the high post and down low, so I'm going to go with Ohio State there. So moving on, so this is where I see another 1 seed going down a bit early. I like the Big Ten a lot here, so I'm going to go with Purdue. Once again, Travion Williams and Noel Ivey, one of the better freshmen, one of the more underrated freshmen that not a lot of people know about. I think that he will be a key part in this. He'll be defending Jared Butler and Davion Mitchell, and I think that Purdue will be able to get past Baylor in the Sweet 16 matchup. Now down here, I think that Utah State's luck is going to run out when they have to face Ohio State. Ohio State really coming off a great showing in the Big Ten tournament. They beat Michigan, barely lost to Illinois. So I'm going to have to say that Ohio State keeps up their hot streak. Now, coming out of the South into the Final Four in this Big Ten matchup between Ohio State and Purdue, I'm going to go with the Ohio State Buckeyes. The only reason is I think that Dwayne Washington, his experience and veteran leadership is going to outshine the guards for Purdue, although the matchup to watch will be down low between E.J. Liddell and Travion Williams. I think that's going to be an awesome matchup. Hopefully they will be able to meet because those two bigs, they've already met so far this season, been great games, and I just want to see those two battle it out in the paint, out on the three-point line, and they can both pass. They can both really do everything, so definitely want to see that matchup. So let's move on to our last region, the Midwest. So here we have one of the most exciting teams in recent memory, in my opinion, Illinois. They should easily take care of business against 16 seed Drexel. And then interesting matchup here, 8 versus 9. We have a Loyola Chicago team who, they're a mid-major. They have not lost many games, especially not recently since conference play started. Everyone remembers them from a few years ago when they made the Final Four as a Cinderella with Sister Jean. However, Georgia Tech, probably the lowest seeded ACC champion of all time at 9. A 9 seed for an ACC championship, an ACC champion is absolutely absurd. So I think Georgia Tech, behind ACC Player of the Year, Moses Wright, will take care of business there. I'm going to go with Oregon State to beat Tennessee here as a 12 seed. Oregon State, surprise team in the tournament, won the Pac-12. However, Tennessee's missing forward John Fulkerson, a veteran guy who's been here before, and I think that they will not be able to overcome that. And then I have an interesting pick here. A lot of people like Oklahoma State because of Cade Cunningham, all the hype surrounding him, the #1 potential overall pick in the NBA draft. But Liberty is a very, very dangerous 13 seed. They've been to the tournament before. They won the last time there was a tournament 2 years ago as a 12 seed. So I do like Liberty to take that one against Oklahoma State behind a little bit of frustration with Cade Cunningham. Now here I like San Diego State. Syracuse is always dangerous, but I do like San Diego State to beat them. San Diego State is a very, very disciplined team, and they usually get it done in March, so we'll go ahead and take San Diego State. West Virginia should roll past Morehead State. Clemson-Rutgers, kind of a toss-up. I like Rutgers just because the Big Ten was superior, far superior to the ACC this year, so I'll go with Rutgers. And then Houston should easily take care of business against Cleveland State. So moving on, I like Illinois to beat Georgia Tech. Illinois is hot as any team right now behind Ayo Dosunmu and Kofi Cockburn, so I think Illinois should easily roll there. Now, I have a 12 and 13 matchup here, so those are always exciting. I think Liberty is going to keep it rolling against Oregon State, a team that, really was not expected to be here, and I think Liberty will take advantage of that and go to the Sweet 16 and kind of get a little Cinderella story going. Now, I like San Diego State to get the upset here over West Virginia. I think West Virginia is a little overseeded at 3. They haven't really been looking good in the metrics, and San Diego State, they're just very, very reliable, haven't lost in a few months at this point, so I'm going to go with San Diego State. Down here, I like Houston. Houston, one of the best teams in the country. They just get it done on both ends of the floor. They have a nice 4-guard lineup around a power forward type of deal going. Quentin Grimes can get hot from anywhere, so I'm going to go with Houston here. All right, and then to make the Elite 8 in the Midwest, I'm definitely going to take Illinois to beat Liberty. I think Illinois is just an absolute matchup nightmare for Liberty. There's no way that Liberty will be able to guard Kofi Cockburn down low. Ayo Dosunmu will take over the game, and Illinois should roll into the Elite 8. And I do like San Diego State here in a matchup of mid-majors against Houston. I think that Houston, they can shoot it from anywhere, but they can also go very cold, and San Diego State can absolutely capitalize on that. San Diego State likes to give up a lot of three-point attempts, so if Houston's not hitting their shots, then San Diego State can capitalize and take advantage. So coming out of the Midwest, between Illinois and San Diego State, I'm going to have to go with the Fighting Illini. I think that this year is just their year. I think that they have assembled a great roster from top to bottom. They have young guys, they have veterans, they have athletes, they have shooters, they have anything you could ask for, and I think Illinois should absolutely dominate this region and come out of the Midwest. So now that we have gone through all these regions, let's go to the Final Four. So I have 1 seed Gonzaga, 3 seed Texas, 2 seed Ohio State, and 1 seed Illinois. So first, let's talk about Gonzaga versus Texas. Now this should be a great game. Athletes on both sides of the floor. Texas has great guards. Matt Coleman. We got Courtney Ramey, and we got Andrew Jones. A lot of great players. But Gonzaga has too much firepower. Jalen Suggs should take care of business at the 1. Kispert and Drew Timme can score from anywhere. So I think Gonzaga is going to roll. And then I got Ohio State beating Illinois in a Big Ten championship rematch. Illinois just beat Ohio State in overtime last Sunday, and it was anyone's game. It was a great game. There was just great plays being made on both sides of the floor, right at the stretch, at the start of overtime, at the end of overtime, everywhere. But I think Dwayne Washington takes care of business and carries his team into the national championship. So now we have Gonzaga and Ohio State. And big reveal here, I think the winner of the 2021 NCAA tournament is going to be the Gonzaga Bulldogs. I think that Gonzaga this year, it hasn't been their year in the past when they've been undefeated, but this feels different. They are number 1 in offensive efficiency, number 2 in defensive efficiency. They can beat you any way you come on the floor. They've proven that they can beat any team by 10, 15, 20. It doesn't matter who you throw at them. And I think that Gonzaga, behind Jalen Suggs and Corey Kispert, will be crowned as champions of the 2021 March Madness NCAA tournament. Thank you very much for joining me. This is Kieran Cantwell, and back to you guys in the studio.
Thanks, Kieran. And I am hopeful that all of your predictions will come true. Best of luck. And keeping with the updates, Cesar is here to keep us informed by telling us all about the latest in national politics. Cesar?
Good morning, Notre Dame. I'm Cesar Sanchez, and here's your national politics update of the week. First up, the House of Representatives passed the American Rescue Plan last Wednesday, thus sending the bill to President Joe Biden's desk where he would sign it into law on March 12, 2021. This comes after a long haggling period between members of the Senate, where the bill was passed through a process known as budget reconciliation, which only requires a majority vote in favor of the bill and comes without fear of being filibustered. The bill was passed with purely Democratic support, as no Republicans in either the House or the Senate voted in favor of the bill. This despite the fact that the bill had substantial support among the general population, as demonstrated by the polls from Pew, 70% of adults in support, Morning Consult, 76% in support, and Quinnipiac, 68% in support. Coming back to the filibuster, Senate Republican Minority Leader Mitch McConnell reinstated his desire that the Senate filibuster remain in place in its current state. While some on the left have called for filibuster reform in an effort to allow the slim Democratic majority to be able to pass legislation on election reform, infrastructure, racial justice, and climate change, McConnell claimed that such reform would not, quote, open up an express lane for liberal change, but rather the Senate would be more like a 100-car pileup. McConnell indicated a willingness to be even more of an obstructor if the filibuster was removed and Republicans later took control of the legislature, saying that everything the Republican Senate did to President Obama would be child's play. Without the support of moderate Democrats Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema, both of whom have voiced their support of upholding the filibuster in some form, it's unlikely that the Democrats will have enough votes to utilize the so-called nuclear option and enact a change in Senate procedure. Lastly, it appears that spring might turn out to be a little sunnier than usual for Americans, as President Joe Biden announced that, by the end of May, the U.S. will have enough doses of vaccine against COVID-19 for every adult. As taken from the White House website, the President will direct all states, tribes, and territories to make all adults eligible for the COVID-19 vaccine no later than May 1st. In order to make this happen, the Biden administration plans to open up more vaccination sites, work with pharmaceutical companies to increase vaccine production, and provide clear guidance to vaccinated Americans going forward. Mr. Biden specifically mentioned working to reopen schools around the nation, encouraging the nation to treat in-person learning like an essential service that it is, and thus work to provide vaccines to educators and school staff with urgency. And with that, this has been your weekly national politics update. I'm Cesar Sanchez, and I'll see you next week.
Thank you, Cesar. We appreciate your diligence in keeping us up to date on the policies that are affecting our country. And that brings us to the end of today's morning news. We would love to add more members to our ND Sunrise team, so if you're interested in joining, please scan the QR code right here. I have no sense of spatial perception. We have many different roles to fill, so there's something for everyone. And if you want to stay updated on everything we're doing here at NDTV, make sure to follow us on Instagram at Notre Dame Television, on Twitter at Notre Dame TV, and on YouTube under NDTV Notre Dame Television. Our YouTube channel has all of our episodes under ND Sunrise, so if you miss an episode or just want to see more of our smiling faces, you can find them all there. As for our airing times, we are here on Channel 57 every Tuesday and Thursday morning. That's it for this episode of ND Sunrise. I'm Abby Urban, and from all of us here in the studio, we wish you a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you, and go Irish!